In an era where crowdfunding has become as commonplace as passing around a collection plate, the story of the Hope Springs Scholarship Foundation serves as a sobering reminder of how easily our charitable instincts can be manipulated. This small-town scandal from Millbrook, Pennsylvania, population 8,200, would eventually expose vulnerabilities in how we think about charitable giving in the digital age. The story begins in 2019, when local business owner Sarah Kendrick launched what appeared to be a noble initiative. The Hope Springs Scholarship Foundation promised to help underprivileged students from Millbrook High School attend college, a particularly appealing mission in a town where only 23% of adults held college degrees, and where the median household income sat nearly $15,000 below the national average. Kendrick's foundation seemed to do everything right. They hosted fundraising galas at the local community center, maintained an active social media presence, and regularly shared touching stories about local students whose lives would be transformed through education. Local businesses displayed donation jars on their counters. The town's newspaper, the Millbrook Herald, ran glowing profiles of Kendrick and her mission. The numbers were impressive. In its first year, Hope Springs raised over $320,000 from local donors. By the end of 2020, that figure had nearly tripled to $891,000. Kendrick attributed the success to the foundation's personal touch. Donors could see exactly where their money was going, or so they thought. The first red flags appeared in early 2021 when local parent Maria Rodriguez attempted to apply for a scholarship for her daughter. Despite multiple emails and phone calls, she received only vague responses about the application process. Other parents reported similar experiences, but it was retired accountant Tom Wheeler who finally began pulling at the threads that would unravel the entire operation. Wheeler, whose own donation of $5,000 had been made in memory of his late wife, a former teacher, noticed that the foundation's public financial reports seemed oddly opaque. His requests for more detailed documentation were met with resistance. Working with a small group of concerned citizens, Wheeler began cross-referencing the foundation's success stories with actual Millbrook High School graduates. What they discovered was shocking. None of the supposed scholarship recipients actually existed. The touching testimonials on the foundation's website used stock photos and fabricated names. The foundation had never registered as a legitimate 501c3 nonprofit organization. Most devastatingly, bank records would eventually reveal that Kendrick had transferred hundreds of thousands of dollars to personal accounts in the Cayman Islands. The technical execution of the scam was remarkably simple. Kendrick had exploited a perfect storm of factors: a small town's trust in one of its own, the emotional appeal of helping local youth, and the relative ease with which digital tools could be used to create a veneer of legitimacy. The foundation's website featured professional design, regular updates, and even a secure donation portal, all elements that we've been trained to associate with legitimate organizations. But the impact of the scam extended far beyond the immediate financial losses. Local charitable giving in Millbrook dropped by 42% in the year following the scandal. Other legitimate scholarship programs reported increased skepticism from potential donors. The ripple effects touched everything from the local food bank to the annual fundraising drive for the high school band. The Millbrook case is particularly relevant today because it highlights the evolving nature of charitable fraud. In the past, such scams typically involved door-to-door solicitations or telephone campaigns. Today, social media and crowdfunding platforms have created new opportunities for fraudsters to reach potential victims while building elaborate facades of legitimacy. Consider these statistics. In 2022, Americans lost over $617 million to charity-related fraud, with educational causes being particularly vulnerable to exploitation. The Federal Trade Commission reports that scams involving educational funding have increased by 165% since 2019, largely driven by the rise of online fundraising platforms. In our digital age, the tools that assist legitimate charity efforts also provide opportunities for deceit, underscoring the need for vigilance and informed giving. The Millbrook scandal led to some positive changes. GoFundMe and similar platforms have enhanced their verification procedures for education-related campaigns. Several states have passed legislation requiring more stringent registration and reporting requirements for charitable organizations, particularly those focused on educational funding. But perhaps the most important lesson from Millbrook is about the delicate balance between trust and verification in charitable giving. The same digital tools that make it easier to create fraudulent charities also make it easier to verify legitimate ones. Resources like Charity Navigator, GuideStar, and the IRS Tax Exempt Search have become essential tools for responsible giving. The story of the Hope Springs Scholarship Foundation isn't just about one woman's criminal scheme or one town's lost donations. It's about how modern technology has transformed both the opportunity for fraud and our responsibility as donors. In an age where anyone can create a compelling online presence and heart-wrenching story, the old adage of trust but verify has never been more relevant. The scholarships that never existed in Millbrook continue to serve as a cautionary tale for communities across America. As online giving becomes increasingly normalized, the line between generosity and gullibility grows thinner. The challenge for future donors isn't just deciding whether to give, but developing the digital literacy to ensure their giving achieves its intended impact.